Mogaetsho dumelang go ya le dumedisang ke Neo Tsipane ke mora Matlaopane ke Mokalobe ke Mosimane go Pampri Start ka amogela mo Gospel Chats with Neo. Another great episode. I think we're going to be talking about a lot of things, but mostly production wise, because I think we have one of the gurus in terms of production in South Africa. Their company name goes by I Listen Media. On my far right, we have Tumelo Socks Semenya.
Yes, no, you called it right. Yeah, after you opened with your intro,
and here we have Thabo Setati. No, just welcome, just I mean, we've been talking about this for 6 months.
Isn't it over here?
Probably.
Like it could be.
Because you guys are busy. You are working corporate, you are working industry, everything.
Yeah, man, I think the busyness also takes away from things that matter. I think the conversation that we wanted to have really do matter.
Yeah.
And so it's one thing I don't like about the busyness.
Yeah.
So today we just said, okay, because there's a set date, but also we're also like flexible on most of the dates.
Sure.
But today we just said, let's push everything aside. Let's have this meeting.
Yeah, man. Buffett, I just want us to go back to your childhood. I know you guys are cousins. You grew up together and everything. But then for me, before you could just come to where we are today,
Sure.
How does everything start up from your childhood, from your upbringing? Just you two. Whoever takes his face.
I wonder how he remembers it. I'm more interested in how he remembers our childhood.
I don't remember the first time I saw you.
I think I do.
What happened? Where was that?
So we're still staying in Moleji, Apaudi, and you all came through. Your dad still drove the Jetta, the white Jetta. So remember, I had a black Labrador.
I remember.
So then went to the gate opened, and then when you guys got out of the car, then they said, "These are your cousins. Wadula Tropo."
Oh, he was a snob.
So I was like, "Oh, this city boy coming to check out his village cousin." So yeah, that's the first time I think I remember. I just don't remember the year, but I remember as a kid, you all came through, and but no, this is your cousin Wadula Tropo.
Yeah, I think there was an event, Kwarin.
Probably my dad's graduation.
Yeah, do you remember the year?
But I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah, but yeah, I remember something. I also remember that I was afraid of coming because of the dogs.
Oh,
yeah, so it's like,
and when did you later grew up into loving dogs?
Yeah, so like 1998.
Late 98, we moved to Flora Park, which is in town.
In Polokwane. But not so Kakamas.
Kakamas isn't that in...
Kakamas is in Kimberley.
In Kimberley.
That's probably like 3.5 hours from Pampristad.
Where
I'm from Pampristad.
Oh, yeah. That's like another 3...
It's another drive. Because Kakamas, you pass by Kimberley.
Yeah, Kakamas was hard.
I remember you told me that you were in Kakamas.
Like, yeah, so that's but I think from where we consciously remember. So I grew up in Moleji, Apaudi, and then later moved on to stay in Flora Park, Polokwane. And then we then met at primary school. So I knew that he's my cousin. Then in primary school, he was at the school a year before me.
Okay.
And then I joined the school when I was going into grade 2. And then but we were not so tight. We were okay. Now cousin
Yeah.
And then also he had his own friends in Flora Park. So States would then always come to not come. So he would then say, I'm going to my cousin's place.
Yeah.
Or go to play at his friends, and then comes back home when it's late. And then they only have to call his parents then to say, no, Tawapo mood.
Yeah.
And then they'll always be angry at him for having to fetch him because he was like, we are looking on nada.
That was an excuse, actually.
That was an excuse. But we then started. Then we went to high school. Went to two separate, different schools. Yeah,
That's such an interesting thing.
yeah, crazy, crazy. Yeah, so
So you guys like you come from far away.
from
even
way
with your
back,
wives.
man. From way back.
Yeah.
I think what really defined our relationship was when we started a dance group.
Yeah.
We started it in church. In fact, one of our friends' late sister was the one that encouraged that. So good conferencing. We're in Baptist. So
Yeah.
we grew up Baptist. our
Especially
parents-
the Saturday night.
Yeah, so there would be huge conference, then people will sign up items. So she was just like, no, you guys always dance back at home. I think you guys can go do a routine, talk to the guys that were playing the band. And look, when they did the thing, and then that was like, I think our first engagement, well, for me, at an artistic level. So then crowds were going crazy. We loved our performance, and then we continued from there because we had to come up with a name quickly.
Yeah.
And so we were like, "Not just for
Ah.
Jesus Formation,
Jesus freaks.
Yeah.
JF.
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 JF was the Java Flakes. Then later on, we went to do
There's the three of us. Another guy's name is Tumelo.
Tumelo, yeah. So we actually got to do it at the highest level. Went to the step up or step out.
Back then, yeah.
Jiga Majiga.
Who went to Jiga Majiga?
We won those episodes, man.
Dude, I can't imagine you dancing.
No, you
now.
not now. Now I can't. I can't. But 11 Ronald Dance Challenge, I can't participate. So, yeah. Then our love for the arts started from there. Because States was the one that was doing our mixtapes, right?
Yeah.
So the special thing around our whole thing was the mixtape. I remember there was a play of Gege's Living Testimony album. Yeah. So that's how
we would
if you wanna think creatively,
Yeah.
about gospel albums, that album was
I think
super creative.
we'll come to that because I think we had a conversation about it a while back.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
Cool.
We'll come to that.
So yeah, that's I think my first engagement with State's level of creativity. So
Yeah.
he's always been the weird. He doesn't have creative boundaries, right? I'm creatively structured.
Yeah.
So no, okay. Does this fit the objective? Okay, no, let's him
No
and
objective.
our objective is wide. So him and
It's unlimited.
It's unlimited. It's uncapped. Yeah, Tumelo then often come with the ideas, and then I'll just assist.
You
in
just
shaping
trim them nicely,
trim them
yeah.
nicely here. and
Okay.
there.
How we would do it is that Socks is big with his humor.
Yeah.
So what he would do is that he would just laugh it out. That dance moves it's not gonna make anyone excited.
Yeah.
Then we would feel otherwise, and then we would just move it other way. But yeah.
Yeah. Then during those times, we were then playing soccer together. So me and States literally spend. There would be no week that would end without us seeing each other. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Because Sunday, my dad then started the ministry in 2005, if I'm not wrong. And then States was playing drums at church, right? And then I was playing keys. So he was on drums.
Same church.
My dad's church, yeah. So
Sabu Sache wasn't good.
and States would always Achuzar Dale can I ring again? Like every time it's worship, I choose again. And there will be songs that he didn't want to play. I choose
I don't know. Whenever I played it, I felt like Chamba Masina.
No, I think
I felt I was that good.
most of the young drummers back then, you could see yourself as a Temba Masina.
Yeah.
There was that era where he was dominating.
Sure.
And then they came Bafana there.
Yeah.
And then they came Sabu.
Sabu!
Yeah.
You just hear every time. Sabu!
Yeah.
Like there's a friend of ours, if you wanted to irritate State, he just said, Sabu!
That was it.
Yeah.
But for you, Socks, I mean, your dad is a pastor or was a pastor.
He is.
He is a pastor, yeah.
Both of us.
Both of us.
You're also PK.
So
Interesting.
both our parents are PKs. I mean, both
you,
our
you
parents
guys
are
are,
pastors.
yeah. But how was it? So yeah, both of you as being PKs in the church. I mean, you are playing keys like keyboard players are not rated.
Mm.
You guys are known for being drunkards, chowing the girls in church.
And pastors' kids also fall into the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But how was it in your space back then?
I think pastors' kids, most of them.
I'm fine. Echo. Yo.
Unyaka yakhona. Or
Hayi
was it
kaswa.
Philip? Oh yeah, no. Yes. I'm a little latu. Umuruti mamuto ruti le bana ba baruti.
Na go official go tswa ka mas.
O 3 hours.
Fa episode are no go tswa ka mas.
NK Wargi. Are you all still rolling?
Yeah,
Oh, so okay,
we are
cool.
rolling.
Cool.
So I think for most pastors' kids who are engaged in the ministry, I think most of us we are skilled but not experienced. So
Experiencing in what sense? In the church setup or in the Christian?
no, as in
life?
I know how to pray for someone or ba nyele bophelo ba bona. I know the prayer ya go kolobetša motho. Like I've taken so many people to get baptized. I've never been baptized. I only realized this when I'm older that I've never been baptized.
Because you grew up in church.
I'm the one who transports people, who makes sure the water is there and everything.
You automatically think that you are saved.
By default.
By default. And then because the salvation thing really knocked in personally later, like in life. When I was in varsity, the first book I've ever bought, which I didn't even read, I bought it because of the cover. So coming back from, I was studying what I didn't really enjoy. I was doing diagnostic radiography at UJ.
Okay.
And then as I'm moving past the streets of Joburg, whatever that, get the CD, get the porn, get the whole child to be at these books.
That's true, actually. Sure.
So, and as my eyes just wander off, there's this title of a book. I've later on then went to save it. I just forgot the author, but the title of the book was "I Can't See God Because I'm in the Way."
I can't see God because
I am in the way.
Yeah.
So I just jumped. I was like, 50 25. And I think that's when I realized that, okay, I think a foundation has been laid, but it is important that I pursue a relationship with God on a personal level. I think our upbringing, because of how busy we didn't really get to do quite a... we were okay naughty.
Friday we knock off at school, we go to soccer practice.
Sure.
We done in Okama 6-7, we done soccer. We
go to church.
You come to my home. Then we would play FIFA till the AMs.
Go to soccer practice
Or
Saturday.
in the morning we take the taxi
to the rank.
So we were occupied by the things at home. Then we go back to soccer practice.
Yeah. Then after soccer practice, we are first to go to church band practice.
Church band.
So
when we're done with church band,
9,
we dance. Then we practice dancing. When we sleep, the following morning it's Sunday.
You're tired. You have to go to church.
When you're done with church, then you go home.
Then what's that? So for a good chunk of our teenage years, we didn't have idling time.
But that didn't you guys feel like you kind of robbed your childhood?
I think when you look at it, even in hindsight, it was a fully fledged child. It's weird where we got the time, because we'd also be able to go perform at these night events and stuff. So we really didn't. I think what we didn't have is just extra time. Which I think saved us, because anything extra from outside the level of entertainment we engaged with, the level of our amount of church, we're attending, and if you had to just add idling time, then you start maybe doing things that would take away from the soccer, take away from the church practice, take away from. So anything that was going to be added in that structure was going to mess us up totally.
I think I saw a clip saying that raising a child is like developing their prefrontal lobe, which is it's the part of the brain where the important decisions. It tells you, hey, this building is falling. Don't try to tie your shoelaces.
Yeah.
That's less important. So it's like parents, what their job is to do is to make sure that part develops properly. And I think that young boys, what every young boy needs is to be given responsibility at the level in which they can manage.
Yeah.
It's like give them a heavy load and let them manage it to a certain degree. So Sunday morning, with so much responsibilities, you wake up, even if the Saturday night I was out,
You have to make sure instruments are packed.
Instruments are packed, the sound, we putting
connected.
everything has to be like in order. Then when I leave, there's a family that I have to go pick up. There's a lady in a wheelchair that lives on the other side I need to go pick up. So there's all these things that you need to do. So your Sunday, when they knock off and the instruments are back where they need to be, and we start off with a tent.
Yeah. So
Tent.
you need to go early in
Need
case
to go
the
early.
tent is blown by the
Maybe
wind.
it's blown.
Yeah.
And no one told me this. For example, we were trying to take down the tent. So I was holding the thing. No one told me that when the wind takes it, I should let it go. So I'm trying to hold the tent.
Yeah,
And it ate me. Yeah, but I do not for a second wish I had a different kind of lifestyle. When I was younger, I had friends who they were raised only by their mothers and they would go visit their father in Joburg, and I thought that was cool. Like I wished my family was broken in a way, because I wished my life could be that dynamic where I'm going to Joburg on Friday and I'm coming back. But not understanding that, oh man, the thing that you have here is like a structure you need, right?
And also I think it tapped into the feeling of wanting to belong, right? So like you said, you meet other friends who, as kids, no one is really trying to say, yo guys, let's live right. Everybody's trying to have fun.
Sure.
As kids. So they are talking about house parties. You know, guys, even if you invite me, I can't attend, right? You know, they're not gonna allow me to go or stuff like that. So growing up, one did not really like how much structure we had in our lives, but I think you get to appreciate it later in life when you look back. You're like, damn man, because I remember when we were at film school, because we went to film school together. I think that move for me, he already knew what he wanted to study at the film school. I was still in UJ doing diagnostic radiography. Then he then says, I'm going to the DB jala go negative. So then I was accompanying him to Abda to go register. And I just get them like, nah, man. Nah. This is more me than what I was doing. So we then get to be in the same year, get to enroll in studying motion picture. But where you really realize that our upbringing played a critical role was when we were there. Because when you're still in Polokwane, they tell you about the drugs. Okay, now things have changed because drugs are literally a problem.
Everywhere,
They're everywhere. So, but back then, drugs was a Joburg thing or a Gauteng thing. Drugs were you know, make sure you guys don't come back being druggies.
And also the spirit teacher would always say, study, mapulelo. When you get to Joburg,
you know,
so now you're meeting these things.
Yeah, so now our first encounter with drugs were at school, right? So you're busy shooting, filming, it's normal production day, and yeah, man.
Yeah, there's a table there.
There's a table. There's craft table, then there's coke table. So yeah, like, but because I was with States who had a similar upbringing with me, we were able to team up. I often say this to him that I doubt if we were not at that school at the same time, I would be where I am today. I would probably have been, I would have been long swallowed by the drug game.
By Joburg.
No, we were gonna
Joburg, and it's all it's dynamic, all its dynamics.
No, we were gonna do the drugs.
Yeah, because the next time we get an encounter,
there's no team to help you.
Only the two of you.
Because like this exposure, this level of exposure was quite frequent.
Mm.
Yeah. So then you realize, oh, we're kept together by the same values that we share. So we'd always just laugh because you'd have a new person every week who's trying
learning how to smoke. So, so we would always but also me and Socks, I think we developed a very like when the parents came through, I remember they were telling the parents, they were like, listen, your child at the school, they'll be exposed to drugs, they'll be exposed to sex. And then we were sitting next to our fathers and another father. Yeah. That father was like sex and drugs and tattoos. And the lecturer was saying, your child will be exposed to this thing. Yeah. Right? Now, our parents were there. We were laughing because we are together and we're laughing. If Socks comes and says he wants to make a tattoo, I'd laugh at him.
Yeah.
At some point, we had rules, right? So when we were still dancing, because we'd spend a lot of time with girls, of course, boys and girls, right? So we were very popular with girls. Right? No, extremely popular. We thank God for His grace and mercy.
For the salvation.
So, but we had like a rule thing. I don't know where it came from, right? We're like, we don't drink, we don't smoke, we don't sleep around. And that was our mantra.
You don't sleep around.
What did you have? There were 3 though.
3, I just remember the 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe there were 2. But I think there were 3.
Let's say there were 3.
Yeah, so then we'd always go to these parties, would have our Red Bulls, our Powerade. And so our life was structured that way that, like he's saying, if you had to say you're doing something off, like, so that really protected us. I think we had a brotherhood that really saved our lives during our teenage years.
Coming from a well-structured family with both parents, did it help you guys to be what you are today? Because you guys are married with kids. Did it play a huge role, or it's just any other kid, whether you were raised by both parents or not?
Look, man, I wanted to get married when I was 8 years old.
Record.
8 years.
When I was 8 years old.
Was it the influence?
Yeah, I think I picked up that influence then. I told my dad. I remember I was in the passage, and I was quite shy.
You remember the girl?
Yeah. I was still in the village. So, sometimes when adults can plant things in your head, right? So the granny to this girl would always say to me, I think then that seed was implanted in me. So when I'd go home and when I'd go home and then see my, how my dad and my family and my mom's relationship is, and I was like, man, I want to get married. So I was standing in the middle of the passage. I'm like, Papa, like, so then there was silence for like a good minute or two. Then he walks up from the living room. Then he grabs my hand. We go into the bedroom. I'm like, I'm better. That was a bad joke. Or shouldn't have said that. Then I was like, okay, cool. Let's kneel down. Tell God the kind of wife you want, and God will give you that wife at the right time. So that has never left me. So every time I dated with, this is going to be my wife. This is so I've never left that space because
they left you.
No, they did big time.
Yeah, they left you, my brother. Like big we would just be driving. Message.
I know some would even leave me and say, look, we feel like there's a call upon your life, and we don't want to be that. We don't want to be an obstacle towards your.
That call is still there.
But I remember most people that you dated, they'd always break up with you because you're busy. Yeah. Mainly, it's like you're busy. But I think you see the thing Socks is saying about sitting down and prayers. Like our parents, wherever they go, before we leave, we pray. It's like it was a standard thing. When you go to school, sometimes my dad would just some oil on. So it's like we lived in a world where you have a problem, the solution is here.
Yeah, prayer.
Yeah, it's like the
Prayer.
solution is here. My father was diagnosed with minor stroke, and then he was going through a lot of medical aids, and he was just going on and paying, and then he was not getting a solution to it. It's like, you know what? I think this is the perfect moment to trust God. And then he was like, "You're not gonna have medical aid." So the boys in Kakohai, we've never had medical aid.
I've never had medical aid till now.
We've never been sick.
Sure.
Never had to. No one in the family for all those years. Yes.
You almost left us.
Yeah, well, last year was the big test. So it's only till now that I've been on medical aid, but grew up my entire life not visiting a hospital, not being in one.
Just go for these
just
things.
being
Yeah.
I'll just be
The
prayed
known
for.
things.
Yeah.
And when at times I'll just be silly. My dad prays for me like over flu and toothache, and of course then parents and pastors always do this. I don't know why. Then they'll be like, so after praying, they're like, "Where's the pain?"
You don't have to pray.
And that's and like, no, I can't speak faith. No, I want. No, the prayer was for my spirit, Panado is for my mind. You know, to put it at ease. But
Sure.
that's how we grew up. Man.
Yeah, but I think it did help foster the nature we have. Like, I think when you're young, you don't see the importance of like marriage. You don't see the importance of prayer. You don't see the importance of being planted at a church. Because like you are maybe young and you're in that life. But when you grow older, you're like, Philip, not only am I realizing this is important, but I've seen not only parents who were doing it, but I saw parents who were like leading a ministry. Because now you're seeing things from like different points of view.
perspectives.
Yeah, so I think it helped us a lot.
You knew what you wanted to do. She didn't know what you wanted to do. Why film? Out of all things, I mean,
failure.
Ooh.
And what did your parents think about that? Because it's not a famous career that you could go for.
I failed my 11th grade.
You failed
My 11th grade.
grade 11.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes, especially on social media, when you say you failed grade 11, it's another concept. But continue.
Hey, what? I'm out of tune.
It's related to sexual things there. You failed grade 11.
You were
couldn't-
busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not far off. It's definitely not far.
But listen, I think I failed grade 11, and then I remember the weekend I failed at our school. I was at Noordland School and high school. Then they would say the parents should come get the report. So then I was hosting a youth conference called the Turning Point. Right?
Turning point. Ooh, praise God.
Jesus.
Glory to God.
I felt like the Lord was doing something in my life. So as I was planning it, then my mom calls me. She's like, "You need to come to the school." I'm like, "Why? King, what happened?" She's like, "You need to come." So I go there, realize I failed. Then we had our principal, Mr. Boyer. He sat me down and it's like, the States, you know, Jesus was also a carpenter. I'm like, I don't want to hear that Jesus was a carpenter. I just feel, I don't care if Jesus was a carpenter. Make me pass, you know.
Yeah.
So then we spoke. And then I left and then to continue doing that. But that weekend, a lot of things happened that weekend. That the Saturday, I spent, it was on a Friday, the show. I got the report on the Friday. The Saturday, I got the report during the week. On the Saturday, I spent the whole day in my room on the computer looking at Inception. I just got a movie called Inception. And I watched this movie the first time and I'm like, hey man, is it because I failed or I'm emotional? I don't understand what happened in this movie. It's heartache. I watch it again. I'm like, no man, I think I paid attention to this movie. I watch it again. Like I still don't understand this movie.
Yeah.
But it captivates me. I'm feeling something. I think I watched it maybe 5 or 6 times. And I'm like, and then in that instance, I was like, I don't know what this is, but this is what I want to do. I don't know what this is. I don't know. I thought movies were for like rich white people.
Sure.
because I never have I don't have
An
someone I
exposure,
can say.
you didn't
Yeah.
get someone who was inspiring you.
So what happened is that the Sunday, my father's gone for Komaking. He was a teacher. Then when I'm going to church, so that I set up a church, I didn't have a license. They stop me, and they take me to the cells. Whole thing, another story for another day. And then when I come out, there are the ladies at church, the mothers at church. So it's like, yeah, I'm tired, man. I've been like in the cells all day. So then they take me to church, and then they and the reason I'm telling this story because it relates to why I started this, and also why then we maybe ended up in this position. And they take me to church, then they put me in the middle, and one by one they pray for me, right? And they pray, man, not Heavenly Father, we come to Amen. It's like
they were deep in tongue speaking.
Yeah, they were like doing an all night with me, like a new concept with me. Then when they were done, then they had to take me home. Then my mother drops me home, and she's gonna drop some other ladies. And when I'm home, I'm like, oh, finally I'm home. Flip, today has been a long day. I failed this weekend. I went to the cells.
Horrible weekend.
Make some tea. As I switch on, so we had those Christian, you know,
Christian.
They didn't pay DSTV.
They would always have to call somebody to set them up.
So we have those Christian
Pastor
channels.
Irene vibes.
Yeah, we had those channels. Now what happened is that I switch it on. As I sit down, there's someone who's preaching on the screen, and he's saying, "I hope you fail." Hey, right.
And you don't get the context.
Ow, this is personal. Like, I just sat down. Like, and he's looking to, I hope you fail. I hope you fail. And then he starts explaining about the idea of failure. And I'll share the video with you. He was saying, like, Albert Einstein, he failed. He couldn't read and write until it was Michael Jordan. No. Well, he mentioned Puff Daddy.
I'm sure he would go back.
So, but he was just trying to explain the idea that Aretha Franklin, is it Aretha Franklin? I'm not sure if it's her, but it's like she went to so many record labels, and someone sent a letter to her as like, you should stick to your day job, and she made it happen. It's like failure is so important. So because of that failure and where I find myself, I had the opportunity of looking at Inception, and by looking at Inception and looking at that sermon, I hope you fail. I took that as a good thing, and Pastor Holy Mike at the show, I invited Pastor Holy Mike and Pastor Tanza, the Turning Point.
Yeah.
He said to me, States, a pencil when it's you sharpen it once, it's sharp. And then he said, what happens when you do it twice? And it's like, it's sharper. It's like, yeah, that's the power of repetition. So don't look at this year you failed more as like, I'm like just staying behind, but look at it as an opportunity of like being sharpened, you know. So I took those thoughts as they are. So luckily I was able to come to this side. My parents is like, if you pass B, you can go wherever you want. I was like, all right, cool, bet, you know. Then I passed very well, you know, because now at least I was paying attention. That thing of failing, you know, it was like,
it was hitting
me, you know. So I passed. As soon as I passed, they were like, go anywhere. I was in socks. Told my dad, hey, this is
that failing delayed our plans for a year.
Eh?
The failing delayed our plans for a year because we had planned we were gonna live together, move in together.
Yeah, we had serious plans for the dance.
Yeah, but the Lord ordered your steps, my brother.
I don't regret anything.
So you came to varsity. You did your 1 year of
and videography.
So I was already. So I got to Joburg 2011. And that's when I was doing my diagnostic radiography at UJ. So it's about X-rays.
Yeah.
So I was not that far off. I was taking internal pictures. Now I'm taking external pictures.
But the following year, that's when you guys.
So the year he was supposed to register. Well, so I also failed one of my majors.
Yeah.
And so. So then, but I think more than anything, I think I was. So I've realized that I'm very good at assuming responsibility. Right? So I would have been able to just still put up with the course and finish it, but I think I just surrendered to the feeling of this feels more like me. And I think it was your dad when we called. I was like, he was like, yeah, no, I didn't go so soon. Now we had the diagnostic, what, but that's more you, right? So, because even there, I was more popular for talking than the actual work.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause at some point they were making a joke about, no, you should be the spokesperson of the hospital in my first year. So, but yeah, man. So that's when I was like, nah, man.
I think throughout high school, I've never really done homework. I still struggle with like homework generally as a concept. So even assignments, now I'm at varsity. I don't think I would have like finished varsity with some sort of like,
Yeah.
because when he's doing the assignment, he's like, I choose feature that I choose.
Yeah.
What watch? So
it was always the
case.
Why I listen media?
Ah, Jesus.
Lord Jesus.
Corinthians, the book of Corinthians. Is it Second Corinthians?
Let's check. Second.
Fact checker. But maybe just as now is checking the backdrop of when and
chapter.
I'm not sure.
It's the verse of no eye has ever seen, no mind has ever conceived that what the Lord is doing.
When Paul was Paul.
1 Corinthians 2:9.
Sure.
Yeah.
So first. Let's talk with Timothy's point.
No, I was saying take us through, because when we thought of the name, I forgot why there was an agency for us to register the business. So we had just finished school. We are now planning to launch into business. So first day of film school, the owner of the school comes through, does a presentation to all the first years. We were like, what, 800? We were quite a lot. And then he says, look, how many of you guys are going out there after your degree, you're going to go out there and look for a job, right? Some hands went up, mine and states were down. 200. Yeah, so our hands were down, and we didn't have this conversation. But as we engaged with, the craft, our third year graduation, not graduation form, experimental form, I think flipped the script for us, right? So we're working on this film called Good Night. When we first started, the concept was around inadequacy. And then it evolved into black inferiority. So that as black people, we have an inferiority complex syndrome. This is why Logagra Bagare no legai our realega. Yeah, no, so there's always this impulsive response of degrading yourself. An inferiority complex that is an inherent, because from generation to generation we keep on saying this thing, and the Bible has given us the knowledge that there's power on our tongues to create life and to kill. So we have then created this world that we live in of poverty, of not believing that you can do anything great, right? And so then we use the chessboard as an iconography of this black inferiority we're trying to portray, right?
Sure.
So we didn't have your bishops, your crowns. We only had black pawn pieces on the board. This is to say that black people see each other like that. Don't see Noah as anything greater than he must either be below me or the same level as me. But not realizing that those that are able to cross over to the other side get to be crowned and become queens and kings. And there's an elite of people that have managed to do that, right? And so the film speaks about that. Do you realize that a positive word, which is good, has been put in front of something dark, which is night, right? And we then explore the idea: what is the whole fascination with light, and not wanting to see your blackness as a source of pride, and the fact that there is possibilities and opportunities that you can come out of the other side being a better person. And so we explored that, and so that film, man, just did something in us. It was
God planted
it was film. It was a spiritual alignment for us, because that's when we got I think more serious with our relationship with God, more serious with our creativity, just even our aggression towards we want to go into business, nothing else. We are no longer even, mind you, I'm saying this at the backdrop of that first presentation by the owner,
yeah.
then to this film that we're doing in our third year, which literally worked on us. And I think that's really where the beauty of art is, right? And where there is art, God is not separated from that.
Sure.
Like he
It's
is. No, he's the greatest creator of all time. So we then got to engage with the film, and it just, man, we started being vocal, we started being evangelists, literally. But we were evangelists at the time.
Consciousness.
For more black consciousness, ideas and stuff. But it just opened our mind to, okay, we're gonna start business, we're gonna go this route. We even had milestones that are only now realized. Now we're like, look, in the next 5 years, we're not gonna make money. That's what we said when we started the business. The next
that's how it is. That's the nature of the business.
But we made money as we were growing in the. But I think the comfort of, we did not start the business out of pressure to say we want money, we want to get rich tomorrow. So there was a level of being sober that we had when we were coming up with the name. So I remember we were at our big brother's house, Abraham Dollar. He had started. In fact, if we are going to then evolve into the conversation of what we do, is our first exposure into remember, we are filmmakers. Still at school. Then we finished school. Then we were like to this brother of ours, like, man, there's an option that we go home or we still stay with you for a while and figure things out, right? We're still trying to start our own business. And we had started a production label called Harvest Productions, which produced Xolani Mdlalos's album, remember the State Theatre one?
It was produced by him.
And then, as an executive producer, there's the label, right? And I think Klingu, I forgot Klingu's name, man. Mahlangu. I think Klingu Mahlangu.
Mason. Klingu Mason.
Is it Mason? What does he say?
Is it Mason the one from Foslo?
Yeah, we're not going to know what Foslo. There's this one, man.
She was good dress.
I'm
not good at names.
I think it's Mahlangu.
The only Mahlangu that I know is Zodwa.
That's her.
So
but she's saying you was
the one who was singing.
My
the
bad.
one who was singing.
Hammering people's names.
Leah, what?
Yeah, I think that's her.
Sorry, I was Zoda for all of this.
Yeah, so that's her.
Okay.
So, and also Pastor Jonas Masuka. Remember those projects where there were like 3 projects, or was it? I think they only did the 2, which was Pastor Jonas and Kolani. And that's where we first met Tolita Vete as well. So that was our first encounter with him.
How was it?
No, we didn't really get to meet him. I think
just
the
like
only time
we now know him.
We officially met him was he came through. Abraham came through with him to our uncle's funeral.
Was it uncle? Yeah.
And so he was there, and he was like, Tumelo from KK's productions and stuff. So when we're like, look, we've got our motive. So So we then
there was a show they were doing.
So they were doing the launch. So we didn't shoot the recording. So they were doing the launch of the album. Then he asked us to come.
Kolani.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I think both Kolani and Pastor Jonas Masuka were releasing the albums. So the launch, then he said, look, guys, let me give you a chance. Capture this thing. And we were like, we still have access to cameras at school, so let's grab them. But also for us, we're realizing that the low light cameras were starting to come through, right? Your 5D Mark IIIs, where now the shooting capabilities were being explored. And like, no, man, like, we like the quality of the low light cameras versus the XD cameras that were there at that time in the industry. And so we also wanted to then just explore that, right?
Sure.
So we brought in, I think we shot that with Nikon D800, right, which was like
They were good,
competing
yeah.
competing with the 5Ds. And then it came out amazing, and then that's also where we met Aaron King.
Yeah.
So
It was
King,
his first gig.
It was King's first gig. It was
Our first
our
gig,
first
sure.
unofficial gig.
Yeah.
Then he plugs us to another guy who was doing a recording. I think the lady's name was Hola, right? It was done at State Theatre. So that was our first official recording where
Soweto.
we at Soweto Theatre. That we then, were quoted for and were working on it.
Like first, like
Yeah.
First experience. I remember the experience was so bad in terms of our own side, because we had undercharged incredibly.
Sure.
After paying, literally, then we were
last person.
the
We
last
paid
person.
them like, can you please borrow us that?
Because we had undercharged so bad, right? Because it was our first time.
We did not know the cost.
Yeah,
of
then we
how
started
it works out,
building
the
from there.
dynamics.
Then at least we had a reference of videos. Then we used that to always inbox. Most of the artists we've worked with now, there's DMs they never responded from us.
You lie.
I kid you not.
So, but when we started, we just, hey, listen, we're
we're
filmmakers.
filmmakers.
Listen, we
are really about the
shoot
cinematic look.
and we pass as kids and
We're Taravan, until opportunities arise.
So whenever we were with them, we always laugh about this.
Yeah, it's like, yo, man, I actually DM'd you. So we then, I think, greatest turning point, Dr. Tumi, right?
Before we get there,
Cool.
I want us to go back to Revival,
Okay.
KK's project.
Best album ever released. Best gospel album.
You won't skip a track.
That was a turning point. That was a game changer in terms of a solo artist doing a live recording.
Yeah.
They were not that fashionable. He
Yeah.
made them fashionable by that time, and even today, it's still relevant.
Man, I think the project is timeless. I think also, man, you could tell the man just poured himself onto those projects.
But the budget was low.
Well, I wouldn't know.
No, you can tell that it was very tight. Yeah.
But also, I think the level of, I don't know who was shooting. Because
They shot very well.
till today, I still think is one
The
of the
mix.
best shot and edited videos from back then.
It was
There are some shots where I'm.
like
Obviously, time is a factor.
Time is a
so there's
factor.
some things that I wouldn't rate them on.
Okay.
Based on the
But-
fact that, but looking, it's a classical timepiece, man. I think almost like the video always like referencing it's Sade or Mama Sunday, Emily Sunday
Oh, the at the
in Britain.
Yeah,
It's classic, like the lighting, the shots, the everything. Even if you were to play it now, so for me, more than mixing, because it really covered the experience, and I think because also we had a background of editing stuff, putting things together. Because like, I don't know if you wanna talk about the mixtape we'd always have with the album.
we would have this while we're dancing. We would have a moment where we turn the dancing and ourselves into a theatrical piece, and we were actors.
Okay.
And then it was like a play on like the Njolo youth, and then it's like we used the Michael Jackson, you rock my world.
Yeah.
At the beginning, it's like that girl.
Yeah. Sure.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah,
So two people will be doing that and one will be acting out as a
Acting
girl.
out, yeah.
And then when they come to the girl, then the girl is born again, So then
so you'd approach the girl and say,
they use the part, na ke batla Jesu.
I'm in love. I'm in love.
Oh
Sure.
no, the guy when he comes, it's like I'm in love. I'm in love.
This
I'm
is
in
living
love.
testimony.
I'm
Yeah,
in
yeah,
love.
no, it's there. The whole living testimony.
So then we would cut it. Then the girl would reply. It's like nah. ke batla Jesu.
Yeah.
Then for some moment we would. I remember when we did it.
More love,
Then everyone. Actually, everywhere we went,
like
everyone
that
would always
album,
buy.
for you to be able to tell stories with more than one track in the same album, just tells you how loaded that album was creative.
Sure.
I was in Van.
I was in Chikama. The only thing I could see was just the Bible in my hand.
So yeah, I think it had like Also, it had a range. The album had a range, like what drum temba
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and when the girl refuses, she's like, che.
Oh
Oh, So
so
you just created a
we just
whole thing from that
from
created a
that
narrative
album.
from that album, and then we would there's Young Money had a song Bedrock at the end. No, it's Roger that.
Yeah.
At the end, there's a part where Lil Wayne is like, Amen, Roger that. There's a part where he uses a prayer.
Okay.
Then we use something from like
Prayer.
Imagine, Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
But we would use parts which we knew we can use in church.
Yeah.
to
That's
portray
how
the
creative
message.
you guys
Yeah,
were.
and that thing, man, yeah, man, it always re-energized and revived along a lot of young people in different churches, because everywhere we'd go, then young people would be ignited to want to be more active at church.
But also give testimonies.
Yeah, there was a wild testimony at
testimony.
church camp. So while we were still in Baptist, I remember we performed at a crossover, one of the crossover services, right, the 31st of December, if I'm not wrong. And then the next day, one lady gives a testimony that she had issues with her periods, right? I don't remember if they would not stop or
they would not. She would not be able to have.
she was not able to have them. And I think the next day, she was
while
like,
we were dancing.
was it wild?
But she didn't. But I don't know
She
why
got
we were
hair.
dancing. Oh,
Yeah. So, but there was a testimony like that. She was like, I was like, yep, this is that's when you knew that I think we are also not just,
You are not
fooling
doing
around.
it for vibes.
Yeah.
Dr. Tumi.
States comes, so Dr. Tumi does a Facebook post. He says, thinking
Was
of
it
filling up the door.
the dome?
Yeah. States walks into my room. So we're staying in this apartment.
we
didn't
were
have a
at
bed.
our lowest.
We'd
We
never-
pawned everything.
No, they stole them.
But we thought we pawned them.
we had put them on hold to say, let this be storage. And then, but if anybody comes to and wants to buy, the guy should let us know, right?
The
The next thing the guy also, his business was about to close. He doesn't tell us.
Oh.
So we come back next week. They're like, no, this store is closed down. With everything, our beds, our refrigerators, our everything.
So you guys you were in an empty space.
Yeah,
we had the kettle.
we had a kettle. We had Max.
We had Max.
We
So
had a-
we were like, I was sleeping on
On the floor.
Sure.
Then the Mac was here.
So you just for comfort, you pack your
clothes.
just
Underneath,
to
yeah.
underneath.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So States walks up is like, buddy, Dr. Tumi just put up a status that says, thinking of filling up the dome. And he's like, are you thinking what I'm thinking? I'm like, damn, yeah. So for us, it was like, he's going to do it, right? I don't know where we got that assurance or that confidence to say he was going to do it.
I was just like, wow, why
It's-
would he
it's-
post that?
Yeah, so right, I think we just thought that's an encrypted message of saying he's going to do it. And we're like, okay, we have to think of something. The timelines were so tight, we're like, he probably has a production crew already. But
there
also,
with
I
faith.
think it's because we would always listen to the songs and
And we'd always have
conceptually,
narratives
we'd
and
always have concepts that we wanted to pitch. So we're like, let's just go pitch for us to
Shoot a
one
documentary.
documentary for the project.
Then we prepared a mini documentary.
So yeah, we did a prototype edit of a documentary, came up with the name,
It was
Killer
amazing.
prototype. And then now it was getting his numbers and trying to get hold on to him. Then a good friend of mine, who's Dr. Tumi's the brother's uncle, he's my friend from high school. He's like, no, in DM Dr. Tumi's wife, Kamo. Yeah,
Sure.
so DM says KG. And then we meet up for the first time, right? At a mugging bean, right? And we get there, she doesn't know us. Man, but look, we've been graced. In here.
We were wearing suits. We were wearing suits and ties. Very,
Yeah,
That's how prepared you guys
no, we're super prepared.
we were like, we had the laptop and we had everything ready. Now the thing is this, Dr. Jimmy's mind was not there.
What's
Because
that
he's
No, but this is before. Remember we had a meeting with SKG before he
okay,
came.
this meeting we're not wearing suits. Oh, we are.
We are, because it's the same day.
We
Yeah.
are.
So we then meet up with her, we give her concepts, she's like, you guys are literally what he's been talking about the last few days.
Sure.
Everything that you guys have said to me
Yeah.
is like the direction he wants to take. I'm gonna give him a call and check if he can be able to come through. He then came through later. And then
Shout out to SKG.
yeah, big shout out. And so then we are doing the presentation to Dr. Tumelo. He's serious, like, boy, like I'm like, okay, so is this presentation not going well? Obviously, as you are speaking, you wonder if you are being understood. So I gave him the concept. Then he just said, okay, come through tomorrow. Let's shoot the promo interview for the gathering of worshippers. Like, we haven't told him we don't own gear.
Should we send him?
We're gonna. Then we leave. We make plans to get gear. The next day we shoot it.
The sound doesn't come out.
Then he's like, "Hey, the sound, man. There's some hissing sound. Okay, just send it. Let me fix it." We're like, we split.
He's fixing the
sound that we shot. Come on, this is late. Then he then sends it back. We do it. Then I think when he started getting comfortable with our work is when we did the actual promo at the dome.
At the dome, sure.
So seeing how we're paying attention to detail, lighting wise and everything, the promo came out well and he loved it.
It's like, can you guys please edit this?
Yeah, then we look, our level of efficiency, we were not married, we were not distracted by anything.
We were moving.
Literally, we shot that thing today. He got that thing later in the evening. He was like, no ways.
Then it's like he was going on a meet and greet.
That's after the dome.
Yeah, after the dome, he was going on a meet and greet. So the weird thing is that we would shoot here in Joburg, Mall of Africa. He'd get the video like in 3 hours.
Yeah. Or if we left late because of travels,
in the morning,
then in the morning he gets it. So the level of efficiency was insane. But also our level of engagement, excuse me, with him, because he was like, we hadn't even sent an invoice, right? And he's like, then we sent him an invoice, I think. He paid double the invoice. And like, oh no. So this is what the industry is
rocking.
But I remember we were.
How much was the first invoice?
I forgot, man. But I remember it was double.
I just remember that it was double. Because I remember we were like, he even sent a message that, guys, I've never seen people be this efficient.
Yeah.
With Spark, like, I really enjoy working with you guys.
Then, from there, then that really became the building block of where we are now, because everywhere then people just know these are the guys that shot, because we did post for that one, right? We didn't actually shoot the dome. Then
you only did the post of it.
Yeah, we did the post of it. Then we did throught. That's when we were in charge of
overflow.
So like 30,000 people. We had 30 cameras, right? We had a crew of around 50 people, but also throught was not the project that we thought it would be for us, right? And I think
like we failed.
Yeah, right. I think we choked more than failed.
So we are here on a big stage. We working. I remember when we went to a meeting, we were the only black people and the only young people in the meeting. Yeah. And even the person who helped us out was Christo. After the meeting, he was like, okay, because the meeting was in Afrikaans.
Ooh.
And Christo was the one who, okay guys, this is what we were saying. So don't worry about them. I'll sort you out. You know? So Christo just like,
he made it. He always made it easy. You know what? Because like you are amongst everybody who's been doing this for years, and you're not familiar with so you don't know.
You don't know the professional ways of like how's this done.
And I think that for me, the reason why I say for us, the project didn't come. We choked or didn't come out the way we wanted. Was because even the cameras, we switched from the cameras we used because the budget was bigger. I think till today is the biggest budget we had for a live production. And so...
Yes, I'm going to come to the production budget-wise.
Yeah. So we then had, because we didn't want to look... The low light cameras are small, right? So imagine at that big show, you are having that small camera. But they will do the job as they have always done, right? But we just chose
it's like David.
They got him an armor.
It's like it's like guys, I know how to use this thing.
Yeah.
Like, the armor.
This armor.
He's like, so we brought the armor.
We took it. They offered, we took it. And so, but really the elements that were just there, we were still quite afraid of feeling like we're encroaching in spaces. There's VIP section here. Am I obstructing them from the view? You're still conscious of those things, right? Versus just being conscious of production. Yeah, and so yeah, man. I think after that, we've just been working with him since.
We've been rocking.
We've been cruising nicely.
Been cruising because
you did Lofters?
No, Lofters
you didn't do it.
Yeah, Lofters, but we're still part of production in terms of behind the scenes and lyrics.
Yeah, but how you guys sucked on the lyrics?
Well, it could have.
There's a song that they did like 3 times there.
So every time, so I was on those lyrics, right? Every time, so I don't know how, but it just got all fuzzy. Because every time they would sing a line, then I'll move to the next lyric, and it was not the right lyric, and just
God will be with you, my brother. Yeah. But now, how do you now when you are sitting with a client and then you try to take their vision and you bring it to life? How's the conversation like?
I think we've realized this later on in business. We used to get into this thing with a great heart.
Yeah.
And thinking, okay, this is the kingdom of God.
Is it not the kingdom of God?
No, it is. We came with full-on ministry
attitude,
right? And only there's also business industry elements that need to be engaged with, which we then had to, with time, learn that we must be able to navigate around those.
And also, we come from a film background where almost all the work is done in pre-production.
Yeah.
Like when you get on set, no one is being creative on set.
Yeah.
The creativity is done. So in this space, it's like, there's no planning in this industry. Well, planning is like...
This is the gospel industry.
The gospel industry.
Gospel.
Okay. Gospel industry is like, we have a production meeting. It's like, that's it. And maybe we can have one more meeting. That's it. Like, for us to do a 2-minute movie.
We meet for 3 months.
We have meetings almost every 2 to 3 days. For 3 months. For a 2-minute movie.
Let's say I'm doing a movie in July. So we start to plan like everything.
Depends first of all how long the movie is. But something that we learned from film school is that when you produce, you plan from the end. So it's like, this is the day we're releasing the last single.
How long will
post? So if you work that way, then it makes everything pre-production way easier. So now we're in a space where it does not have a strong pre-production, and we're trying to bring a new way of shooting and doing things.
So you end up having concepts that are brought up, and which also becomes, I think, the unfortunate part for the gospel artists, right? Because there's a lot of dynamics that they have to deal with, right? So here you are in your prayer closet, and God reveals a concept or an album to you, right? Now you now have to be a good steward of what God has dropped in your spirit. And between you being a good steward and being obedient, there's budgets, there's scheduling, and that's where we end up producing stuff that become either production labels products or our own product versus what God has said we should do. Right? Because proper pre-production, because what we used to do is get in at that level of, okay, so what's the name of your album? Right? We would start, one would ask, what's that got to do with how you guys are going to shoot this thing? Because we wanted to make sure that, which is why some people would say the Americans are way ahead of us. There's a level of intentionality that you always see in the Americans' gospel content or gospel productions.
Even when we started out a bit earlier, we would say, hey, why don't you do this concept? Why wouldn't you go for this concept? Then they'd want to go for like a normal stage concept.
Okay.
And in the States, when Maverick and them started doing this concept, now it's like they're coming back to us with the same concepts.
Oh, we want to do this.
So it's like the same thing with the lighting, right? Because we are used to live shows having, hectic haze lighting. So everybody was just going with that but guys, this thing affects the quality of the camera, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's one song that I love so much. You guys shot it. The music video has a lot of smoke in it.
Yeah. Which one? Oh yeah.
There's a lot of smoke.
Yeah,
How then do you guys edit in terms of like not heavy?
It's too late.
It's too late.
Edit.
It's
too late. It's too late. So
what do you wanna do to the smoke?
what do you wanna do?
I mean, like
you can't.
the angles and everything. Like, okay, how do you do this?
It's too late, right? So, and that is why the pre-production stage is stressing out. This is for us to align with everybody technical. The lighting guys, cool. We want a clean lighting on the subject. All those stuff you're talking about, smokes, the ambient color lightings are supposed to form part of background, right?
Yeah.
Or if it goes on to spills off to the side, but does not necessarily hit the subject.
Colors give us a feel.
They are supposed to give us a feeling, so they are for ambient, right? The same way
I
there's
get
a
you,
backdrop
I get you.
behind you.
Yeah.
It separates you from, especially if there's different colors, it separates you from the background. So we are able to focus on you.
Yeah.
Now, the minute we bring the smoke in front, that means we are focusing on the smoke.
Lighting people. I speak with the greatest humility. Smoke works for shows. It doesn't work for a live recording. Because a live recording, we are trying to shoot this so that someone who's not there gets to experience this as if they are here. But if they can't see because of the smoke. So when it gets to, but I think I'm speaking to the wrong people. It's not so much the lighting people. It comes back to the planning.
I wanted to go back to what you said, like when you guys are having the first meeting or the second meeting, or like, okay,
but now you're speaking about nice things. When you're speaking about nice things, listen, there's sometimes you can get a call like this. Hey, how you doing? You're the one who shot Nubeko. Oh, nice. How much are your prices?
And
when you try to, okay, what kind of are you? Because there's a difference between Soweto theater and a stadium.
Yeah.
So what are the prices then in the different?
But also a true, obedient conversation to what your vision is here's my concept, here's my venue, these are my references.
Vision doesn't matter. Give me the prices.
That's what you literally
we'll talk about this later.
Yeah.
Give me the
price.
Because everybody's just fixated. So, but I think we've always tried to force in the intentional planning aspect of the conversation. And I think most of the projects we've done is because the artist would be confident that the way that these guys are applying themselves on my concept, I'm confident that they'll do it. Because
what the track record again?
Yeah, but I think we try to always. I think every time I've had a phone call of a client inquiry, go directly to the concept.
Yeah.
Then everything flows. The rate card is there. We're gonna give you, but because what I keep on saying is like what we're doing is not special. One, I think the fact that we are saved helps us. The fact that we grew up as pastors' kids, understand church, that helps us.
Those
right?
dynamics.
Yeah. Those dynamics helps us navigate around elements that are church orientated, right? But two, what we are doing is not special. Cameras are advanced. You see with vlogs. Some vlogs look better than some live recordings, right? Because the level of our Marama, vlog. So because of the level of advancement there is technologically with this camera, right? So what we're doing is that anybody can do it. That's my point, right?
Cameras are not special.
But what are you bringing?
So basically it's not about the cam.
No! You can put anyone on those cameras that we are operating.
It was never about the cam.
It's about the creative application.
I hope I'm not gonna sound shady or anything.
Don't sound shady.
You did a recording. The client didn't enjoy it. They didn't like it. What was the issue from your perspective? Did you guys have this meeting or like, okay, what do you want? The vision.
Which project is this?
Or any project.
You guys did a project. Is it October? Is it Alberton? I don't want to name drop.
You'll cut it out. Because I don't have context.
You'll find the context now.
Or
I just wanna.
Or you can just maybe respond to it.
You can skip this one. It sounds like gossip.
It's not even a gossip. I just need to get an idea of what really happened. No, Chief.
Who's that?
You can't see.
No. Who's that? I want to read the tabloid. They are very happy. Come on. Huh?
Serious?
But worry, never want to meet you no more.
No, the artists they even posted on their Instagram how they didn't enjoy the thing and everything.
No, client is happy. I don't know about the artist. Client is supposed to. Client has promised to take it.
But also, they did another recording with another company.
Where?
In Rema.
When?
When was it? November.
I don't. Maybe the projects are separated.
Okay.
But the one that I don't know if you guys are talking about this, the carnival one.
I'd
Not
rather
the carnival.
What are you guys talking about?
I knew that you are not talking about the same
Oh,
thing.
Let's keep this one.
No.
No value to.
No, that one.
That's.
Okay,
You know what's the thing? Last year we almost closed our company.
Yeah, I think last year generally.
You lie.
Let me. We almost closed our company, and the majority of money we make does not come from the gospel industry. I don't think there's anyone who's in the video industry, in the gospel industry, who relies on the gospel industry.
NK, is it true?
There's no one who's shooting or doing production.
Or they just started their business to shoot live recordings.
Or Kamo gospel. No one, whether you're an agency who did graphics, you can't rely on the gospel. It's not self-sustaining.
You
The
remember I
industry
said I want to go back to budget?
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Now, the challenge is this: when you start this thing, I remember there was a project which I will not mention the name. We got to the project and then they said they told us the budget, which they didn't have a budget. And then I told Socks that let's do this project because I think that God is gonna do something with this project. Ask him. He was like, but it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense for us to be here. No, there's no reason we should be here.
It was the same amount of money as our first live recording.
The one that you guys didn't get.
The one we had to take 300.
The one we had to, yeah. So
same amount of, but this is how many years later? Almost 4 or 5.
So now at that point it's like, okay, so we're sponsoring here. We're not making money here. Let's get that. We're not making money. Because me and Socks, when we get into this thing, and this, which we'll get to the point of the creative conference, because we realize in the gospel industry, the biggest thing we've done is that we've missed the point. We've missed the mark.
We have forgotten it.
We've forgotten it, and we've went into we've confidently went into the wrong space. And when I say space, I don't speak about the gospel industry.
Sure.
I mean what we are trying to fulfill in the gospel industry. Now, when you move on, you realize, no man, I'm trying to see kingdom of God Kamo.
Amen.
And then as soon as you are in that position and you're realizing this, you're like, then what's my role if I'm not seeing the point of what we're doing in this? You do a project like that, and a lot of even people who are making a living out of gospel are not making a living easily. Yeah, it's why very good. So right now, when a year like we had a year like last year, there was a lot of difficulties generally in the economy, also in our business. But
it started off south.
Very south. But then you know someone I think I should give a shout out to Nube. Nube and Mr. V, 802. Nube was able to call you, say, guys, what's wrong? This is not happening right. This is what people are complaining about. He wants to see us do well. So he communicates. Right? Now, if there's no planning, there's the Gospels, let me say this confidently because I really believe in this. The gospel space is void of prayer and creativity.
Guys, prayer, the conference is very important. Creative conference, May 24. We'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, continue.
It's void of creativity because you know what we've done? Everyone who's a creative wants to hang on to the gospel industry, but the gospel industry is actually a music industry. Because in church, the people who have the space to constantly hone and practice their skill as creatives are singers. So it means that holistically and industrially, the best opportunity for us to become an industry with something is through music. Now it means that if you're a painter, you want to hang on to this space. You'll be a graphic designer and try and make posters. If you are a
you summed it well.
yeah, if you're a filmmaker, we don't have a film industry in South Africa. So why would we have a Christian film? We don't have a film industry in South Africa. We make movies, but it doesn't mean
it doesn't have an identity. It doesn't have how many films. We're still probably producing less than 20 films a year, which
South
is South Africa.
And
Nigeria used to produce around 3,000 a year, and this is like around 2017. So the numbers could have been crazily multiplied. So we don't have a film industry.
We don't have a film industry. So never mind a Christian film industry. Never mind you trying to make. You're a filmmaker, man. The struggle is double on you if you really want to get into it. So we end up coming to this space because this space seems like it's a space which seems like there's a bit of sustenance. Is that the right word?
It has moments. There's no sustainability at all.
No.
It just has spasms of moments.
I mean, in relation or in comparison to other
industries.
Well, like it's not like in the Christian space we have like great painting or we have chefs who are like.
Sure.
I don't know. We don't have a concept.
But that's on us. We haven't established those things, right? But like you're saying, so where the focus has always been, has been just the music. So everybody tries to attach.
They
come
there. Yeah. Now, here's the challenge. The gospel industry is void of creativity. It is found without.
Sure.
So the space which is supposed to be a creative space is without creativity.
Yeah. That's a wild thought.
Now, the reason why we're now deciding, I think let's have a creative conference. It's not a retaliation.
Maybe it is.
Okay.
Because your greatest frustration can birth your greatest calling.
Yeah,
Sure.
Okay.
So it is a frustration that we realized, because when we really started doing this, I remember the conversation we had was, we want to help advance the kingdom of God. And look, also that has been a disadvantage and an advantage. Our level of thinking about saving and ministry has built our profile, right? Because in our coming up, we had to do a lot of saving. Right?
I think it would be very long if gospel artists were to come and just sit down and explain what we've done for free or almost nothing.
Yeah. But now also it's a trap, right? Because you need to also realize when you have outgrown the season of trying to break in and when you're inside. Yeah, because you get to a point where while you're inside, you're still behaving like somebody who's trying to break into the industry. Still trying to prove a point. Still trying to be seen. Still trying to say... And it even happens to the artists themselves, right? Where instead of functioning or operating from your level of assignment, because we are not interested in just capturing. I always say there are video production companies that are out there, right? That will capture your event. Yeah, but they have a template for it. The owner doesn't have to be there. You don't even have to know the owner's contact details. They've got a template of this thing. But where we came in as a differentiator from everyone else was that because we understand that this is just not gimmicks or anything. It's not like when you're doing house music, I'm trying to get a hit and then people will be vibing. We are trying to communicate life-changing messages, right? And so those things are not done out of impulsiveness or, no, here's a budget, tomorrow we are shooting, there's a recording. They can't be devoid of prayer, as they say. They can't be devoid of application, right? So when you're just saying creatively, and I always make this lousy example to say, let's say your album is called The Bread of Life, right? There's absolutely no way you cannot open your scope of thinking creatively and just say, I'm going to take it to theater and not try to rearrange how it looks, how it even sounds. When last did you hear one of my favorite creative songs is Journal by KCJ, right? Before the song starts, you hear the sound design of a pen and a page.
I'm thinking about Craig Frankel's album when
he's my go-to creative
what's the
stimulation.
The album that is it The Rebirth?
Yeah, I think I remember Rebirth.
The introduction, it's the mother there talking about this.
No, his intros are always fire.
Sure.
The other one that's more related to like I don't know if you've heard Hello Fear, the album.
Oh, the album, sure.
Yeah, it starts off with also like a conversation between him and Fear. Yeah, it's like as you're about to leave, I know you must pack your bags.
And the theme of the creative conference is
Fear creates giants.
Yeah, I want us to
come
there. Before we close it off, and before we've been talking.
Oh, really?
2 hours probably.
You lie.
I'm telling you. You guys lost one of the greatest footages. How did that feel to you guys, knowing that you lost the footage of a client?
Look, that we've only experienced that once, right? That was when we were in varsity. We lost our actual graduation film.
Your vibe.
Yeah, our own movie. And so our marks were on the line. Our degrees were on the line. And then they broke into the car. You were taking an actress or a makeup artist to the train station. And then they broke into the car, stole the hard drives and stuff. So we were stressed out. I forgot how the footage was able to be retrieved. So then from there, we've never made a mistake of not having backup system from our
time,
varsity days. And so we then had, when this situation happened, we had just even had our annual introduction kickoff meeting where we were just talking about upgrading our data management systems. So when that thing happened, while internally in the office, we're still like, there is no way this is happening. Not with the systems that we have, right? And we're still trying to trace our steps back. We still can't make sense of what really happened, but the footage is not there. So we then had to engage with client. I think one, having the reputation that you have, literally, I think if you look at most of the gospel live recordings, you will not consume more than 3, 4, 5 live recordings without passing our work.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
So our work would pop up from time to time. So looking at us being, doing work at that level and having a situation like that, like, can these guys with so much mileage, so much credibility, not be able to keep our data safe? That's such a business life-threatening position to be in.
Sure.
And while that was going on, there was a whole lot of wild stuff that was happening. I remember, because also
it was a rough season.
It was, but also it was blow after blow. I remember at some point just saying because the client is also quite a good friend of ours, and I was like, I don't know what's happening, but this season, I think the wave that's hitting us can't be ignored. We have to go through it. And as much obviously it feels a bit insensitive. I want my footage chief from this season's Don Man. But I was it hit me then that there was nothing that God was removing any form of savior that we had out of the way and remaining with him as a savior. Like literally, now we tried solutions for different problems in the business. And like he's saying, last year was the first year in 8 years of running the business that I created a CV.
You are lying.
My brother, I
last year.
sent CVs to a couple of companies. I was disappointed. Now I understand the level of frustration South African youth have to the government. Because I submitted to so many places and I didn't even get a call till today from all of them, right? And that could just, because this year is very different. That could have just been God. Nicely. No, this year we, look, more than cruise, we are flying. So, yeah, man. So it was just a crazy whirlwind of challenges. And so when that happened, that is why States was saying, people like Abou called us, people like Mr. V would, man, reassured us, man. Like, guys, yeah, man, this is not easy. And the industry is small, right?
And they were speaking from a business perspective. Yeah,
sure.
Guys, I run a business.
I know what
loss is.
Yeah. And the industry is very small, right? The conversations are happening. And now it's like, for instance, I like making a lousy example about, I'm quite like the type of person. When I laugh, I'm very touchy and stuff. So we'd often say like, yo, man, if somebody would be like, yo, Socks touched me in an inappropriate way. And then explain like when he laughs, like he leans in, and so many people will be able to attest to that. Even those that never thought that it was something that made them feel uncomfortable. So as the people are talking, then people who then remember some of even experiences that maybe did not feel significant then, now they were being reorganized and stuff. So there was generally a feeling of a kickback by the industry, but we expected it. So because when we had our own meetings, they're like, look, there will be a kickback. Like, we need to brace ourselves for.
And we wanted to come in front of it, but like, let's rather take it.
No, we are like, there's gonna be a kickback. We're gonna have to roll with the punches. And boy, oh boy, did we.
We rolled. But we are done.
24 majors. 24 May. Let's leave the drums. 24 May.
24 May. So,
what did you guys see that's not there?
The creativity. But also, I think the full production line of creating live recordings and applying ourselves creatively in the gospel, right? So, coming back to the conversation of, when we wanted to come in, we wanted to advance the kingdom of God. So we had this conversation, this is last year, in the midst of the storm, right? Because God likes cooking in the storm, right? So
just like Nabi.
Nabi ain't cooking jack. Nabi is a slow cooker. No. I see pressure cooker. So we're like, hey man, I think one thing that's not nice about where we are at is that what we are doing is devoid of passion. It's devoid of assignment and purpose. So we're like, hey man, I think something that maybe the industry doesn't get so much exposed to about us is that we're creatives. First and foremost, right?
Before cameraman comes number 19.
200, right? So we are creatives, and we feel like, God has gifted us in being able to, because there are people that the church in its current state cannot be able to evangelize to. There are people that church would hit ceilings as far as communication is concerned when it comes to a specific sections or communities in society, right? And so what we become, or what we have out of conviction, positioned ourselves to be midwives that communicate the message that brought us up, the message that we know. Look, it doesn't matter. times have evolved, right? Even though people are like, yeah, not all-time religion, don't guys take off the black walls, leave the lights, I want Jesus and or nothing, right?
Sure.
We still can't ignore that there are communication lines that exist. If I'm Pedi and you are Zulu, and we need to find a common Botswana, I was just being here, like, I know you're not Zulu. So we need to find what would enable us to communicate fluently.
Sure.
And so that's what we do with creativity, right? God creates the world, right? And he creates us and leaves us to be, stewards of the earth that he has created us into. You know, we have to now engage with this environment that he has created for us, right? We can still communicate with him, call him, speak to him, but he's then given us all the power and authority to engage with this environment, right? So no one is going to do it on our behalf. So we can't then expect just to... There are people who, right now, you look at how diverse the gospel music is, right? We're just playing a song by
Jordan Watch. Yeah.
Almost what they call lo-fi type of sound, right? I'm not sure if you are familiar with like lo-fi music, right? This type of gospel music was not catering for a specific section of the gospel audience, right? Because not everybody is about mashatra and we're gonna be CCM sound and or what they call kuche or in KZN it's Timoy. Yeah. So not everybody finds that palatable. Some people prefer your stripped down music, your acoustic music. And so all those are communication nuances and mediums that get to speak to different audiences of the church, right? So we then were like, hey man, this thing has been on us for the past 2 years. And one of the biggest reasons why we had not launched out into the deep was because of fear.
It's titled
Fear Creates Giants.
Yeah.
So we're driving back home, right? And then we're having a conversation about the themes and whatnot. And it becomes so mind-blowing when we read Numbers 13, verse 33. That the spies, remember the story of the spies, they go spy the land and they come back and that, no, the land is good. The land is everything we want. The live recordings can be everything that we want it to be. The creativity in the church can be at the level that we want it to be. But I feel I'm not good enough. I feel like I'm not grasshopper. I feel like a grasshopper. So like, do you see that the same way that faith is able to create? Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So now faith is able to create possibilities where there are none, right? So fear can also get to create obstacles where there are none.
Yes, sir.
So like, yay! This is us, man. This has been us for the longest time. We have always created situations that make it impossible for us to come up and show up, right? Because you're also scared that what if it fails? Because part of also growing yourself as a creative and growing your business and your brand is that you get so acclimatized to perfection that you lose obedience, right? So we then had to find, this is not working. So that's where we really came from in terms of the concept.
I think like just because fear is not a gospel in the same manner that faith is, or the way we participate, it doesn't mean that fear does not preach.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes the way that fear preaches, it's able to build these abstractions in one's mind. I want to do this, Mara. Who am I to be doing this thing? What will people say? What will people think about me? What if this thing fails? Other people have tried it and other people have failed. So those are giants which are created. So I think the even us doing this is that we are trying to conquer our giants.
Yeah.
Because I was speaking with Pastor Piri,
Okay, sure.
and I was explaining to him I don't know what we are doing, and I have no reference of what we are doing. But sometimes when you go to, there's a men's conference, there's a women's conference, there's children's ministry, there's youth, but there's no creative community. So, but I think that more importantly, what we're trying to say to creatives, because my life is a testament of this. I once wanted to identify more as a creative than a child of God. So we are losing a lot of the gospel. We are losing a lot of people to the identity of creativity because they'd rather be identified as that, away from being a child of God. So I think when my mantra generally in life is that it is better to have it and not use it than to need it and not have it. So it doesn't matter what it is. Is it money? Is it
Yes.
again?
Continue.
Fix the plural, but let's say.
So but I was questioning this mantra, then okay, if you have it and don't use it over time, then it's as good as not there. It doesn't work. If you stop using your hand, it doesn't work. The creative arm of the church, I'm not sure if it's dead or if it needs to be resurrected, or it's I do not know. I do not know. I think, but I'm realizing more and more that when I was speaking with Pastor Piri, he said something like very powerful. Is like media is neutral. Like a video doesn't
10-second video.
Yeah, it's in neutral. So it's the thing that is put in it that gives it a direction.
Yeah.
So, but medium doesn't say, "Hey, I'm good or bad." It's just a video. But the thing we put inside of it. So, I think that as creatives, the most important thing we are called to do before art is we are called to be holy.
And thank all of us.
Yeah, I agree. I need to be creative.
Listen, this group.
Men's ministry. I don't like you speaking to creatives. Because man, the devil has his hand here, man. The devil has his hand strong in this, man.
Big time.
Big time.
Because also, sort of just to get interjected, if you realize, generally, what's the observation of the creative space, right? They look weird, and all this weird looking also have you know add-ons, right? You must either smoke weed, do drugs, connect to the spirits because it's a spiritual exercise, right? And so it borderlines that if we lose that one, that is also where we would have lost an opportunity for people to experience Christ that saves, right? Because you'd rather have that community is the same community that's going to create idols. Because remember, they are inherently creators.
Yeah.
So if there's ever going to be a space that's going to give us a headache, it's that space. Yeah, but they'll do a calf like Aaron.
It's serious one.
And they will a golden one, right? Because sure.
How do we say you know, like growing up in church, we've always been taught that the grace is sufficient for us, which it is. And I remember I was speaking with Sox's dad. I spoke to my dad. I'm like, thank you so much for teaching us this. But something which I do understand why you did not teach us, but I think is equally important. Maybe not equally important, but is that the sin is sufficient for us. Sin does not push you away when you come. And sin is void of standards.
Sure.
Say this in one night.
As you're too low, you know.
But similar for the flesh.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. What Sox is saying. You see that space where it's like it's borderline. The world does not mind tapping into that space.
Yeah.
And telling us Christians what Christianity is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what they have done. and are doing.
And it's crazy how massive it's becoming and how influential
It is, right?
And they are targeting the young ones
Sure.
now because it's easy to influence them.
No, 100%. But now, imagine there's a young creative who's sitting in the church. You are preaching, reciting the verses, and they don't have a creative engagement with church as an experience. Then they interact online with this creative, who then speaks in a way that's palatable to them. Not that what he's saying is truth.
Or is even better.
Yeah.
It's just palatable because it comes with the music he likes. It comes with the dress code he likes.
It speaks to his issues.
It speaks to his issues.
And not that the word cannot speak.
It's very relatable to him.
And here's the thing. Not that the word cannot speak to his issues.
No. But
we just need to find a way.
Channel.
Look, but when the Bible speaks about being gentle as doves, yes, wise as serpents. We must be able to understand and apply ourselves in that regard, right? When we are with creatives that are not saved, they regard us as creatives, right? But they realize that there's a separation. No, this guy's the God stuff, and the God stuff doesn't become extra stuff. We are able to engage on it, right?
We are not lecturing because we are Christian.
No. So then when we engage, then they realize the possibilities of them also coming over to the other side because like, oh no, that makes sense. No, I never saw it that way, right? But because we don't engage with them, we don't know what the questions there. I promise you now, more parents have an issue with their kids having an identity crisis regarding church than any other issue in their families.
Yeah. Come on now.
Like they've been taking their kids to church every Sunday. Now the kids have consumed. God says to Adam, "Do not eat from the tree in the middle of the Garden of Eden, right? Because you will know knowledge, information. Right now we have even evolved from information age, right? We are at the highest level of ultra information sharing. So the kind of information, there's stuff that you have not read that a 6-year, 8-year-old has encountered way before you, right? And so you are unable to necessarily guard what your kids watch and manage what they listen to. So you now have a greater responsibility to model it out more than say it. And those kids, I remember this is something that we did in the country. The States was more doing this to the guys that work with us and edit. And he was like, let me check your algorithm. Yeah, who are you guys following? Unfollow, right? And I also felt bad for them. I felt bad for the boys, right? But that creates your world. Hey, bro.
Yeah, there's a preacher by the name of Malcolm Greek.
Sure.
And he was saying, which is a concern. It's like, and he was saying, hey, you know what's been my biggest challenge with Christianity is that I felt like as soon as I get born again or I take this as a belief, then I stop thinking.
And that's what the world.
And I stop thinking, I stop questioning, I stop, like I'm not able to have autonomy over how I think. And he quoted someone else, I'm not sure who it was, but he was like, I do not know in order to believe, I believe in order to know. So because when one is on the stand of believing, then the things which they would have, because right now people are trying to bring logic into faith, and now you remove the definition of faith, they're trying to do that. But something which is, whenever people are arguing with academics, people of the world about Christianity and they're defending Christianity, look to the people they always run to. They always run to C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis is an artist. C.S. Lewis is the guy who wrote the Narnia, the Chronicles of Narnia. But also, here's the thing. He also has a testimony because he was an atheist. So he's someone who's been saved and he's been brought. And why do we move to him? Because he has the ability to convey rhetoric very well. What is it? It's like he's a storyteller. He knows all these things. He's able to take them in a way that you understand and you understand. So whenever you find that you're speaking with academics or such, and you're engaging, the person who comes up becomes the artist, not the preacher. You never hear Babalela Linala pastor defending the faith. They speak about him as if he's Apostle Paul, as if he wrote some of these things. But he's the closest because his mother was a mathematician, his father was a lawyer, his grandfather was a preacher. He grew up around books, he grew up around academia. When he felt like school was not good for him, he went to a space in which he got a mentor. This mentor was an atheist who said, hey, good morning. What is good? What do you mean by good? Like, explain to me what good means. Like, what do you base the goodness of the morning? Yeah. So, like, now this person was making them think. But in making them think, if this person has a bigger capacity, you would assume that this person is the person I need to follow because they seem to have a bigger capacity than me, and I'm willing to learn like them.
Like them, yeah.
And the world is like that. We want to be like the world. There's a desire to want to be like the world. But that's not what the word says. We are of a peculiar nation. We need to behave differently. So when you are a child of God who is a creative, you might be working a 9 to 5. You might be doing something else. But it is incumbent upon you to pursue a holy life than creativity. And that's what the Creative Conference is about.
Oof. Man. Basically, it's more about the scripture than your thinking, your opinion.
In the beginning was the word.
Man, that's it.
Are you guys selling tickets for this?
Yeah.
Who is it open up for? Where is it held at the venue?
So you are going to be officially the first person that has the location.
We don't even have a poster right now.
And the tickets. It will be happening at Great Light Church. In Centurion.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's where it will be happening. Tickets will be on sale at Quicket.
Okay.
And that will be from next week. I don't know when this episode is dropping, but from next week, then the tickets will be up.
And then I'm definitely coming. It's open up for every creative.
Every creative.
We are not closing anyone out.
We ain't closing in. We are just making a disclaimer that it's a Christian creative conference, so that in case you are a creative and you have just decided on your own that anything Christian, I'm fine, just at least you know. We are not going to try dress up the place in a way or have like status saying weed and just to make creatives feel like this is a comfortable space. But it will be a creative conference. I think those people who have questions about their creativity, some may not even know, am I a creative, am I not, come and get to have an opportunity to hear what we think about this gospel that we follow and how we can play a part in advancing the gospel, being part of a local church, making sure that we serve there. Our main target is church media teams, because look, in the next generation of albums, it's gonna be more churches than individuals.
Okay.
Hallelujah.
And so churches need to equip themselves.
Something about the remnant. Continue.
Yeah, but also, at least now there is a viable channel for churches to find income opportunities versus what has always just been, we're just waiting on donations and offerings, right? So this is a big window of opportunity for churches going into the future.
Sure.
So we want to make sure that they are equipped enough to then be able to manage these things internally. It's part of cutting the costs. If you don't have to bring us on, and so we'll be also running some programs that we can engage with churches on a 4 weeks, 6 weeks programs just to get them, because there are churches that I'm sure are planning to already do this type of recordings and stuff. So those would have short courses for them. But otherwise, it's a long-term relationship that we want to build with churches and their creative team. Also, creative teams. Also to establish, continuity, because churches struggle with continuity.
There's
Yeah,
no,
so you find that the states are here today, next year they're not around, you starting all over again.
Sure.
So all those succession planning.
We're pastors' kids. We know
We
these
are.
things.
Both of you guys, the pastors were struggling to find whoever's gonna play when you guys left. I know that.
Can you please point the camera at me, my brother? Imagine in the book of Acts, as a creative, how would you have been involved?
Is that the homework?
I don't know. I don't do homework. If right now we are existing in a time where the church in the book of Acts is potent, what role do you play as a creative? If you think that what God has given to you is creativity.
Sure.
Aye.
That was your closing remarks. Are you a pastor? Are you a pastor? Are you opening a church?
Not anytime soon.
Are you called?
I believe I'm called.
We're called for holiness.
I'm called for living for God. I am called to be an ambassador for Christ, reconciling God's people with Him. That's what I believe I'm called for.
Just thank you.
Just one thing, man. Shout out on this.
Yeah.
I failed at podcasting. I tried to start a podcast. I couldn't keep up.
Easy.
No, it's not easy. I couldn't make it fit into my life and my family life. So, shout out to you for still doing this. And then I think we'll put prayers to it, if possible, finances.
Thank you, sir.
Big shout out. Big shout out. I think you are one of the people that we've seen you grow organically. I think organic growth brings forth. So you've literally built it in front of our faces, everyone. And also, I guess what also has propelled you is the grace of God. Because if you just think about where you come from and where you are today, the wildest thing that we take for granted now. Right? We grew up, we were talking about living testimony and all these albums. These are albums you were listening to. Look why we didn't know you, didn't know all the people. I remember my dad used to buy DVDs, Joy Celebration DVD. Me and my little sister would always just, so I knew these people because of my little sister. So now to be part of the industry and get to engage with people you grew up watching and just being fascinated at them operating at their level of gift. And today you are in the space where you are able to get advices, engage with them, form relationships. It's only grace that can locate you and put you there. So, man, kudos to you, like Setati say. Our greatest weakness is where we see that purpose is in alignment. I think there's one favorite quote that I like that says, what are you willing to give up in order for you to continue to grow?
Yes, sir.
For the future of the future of the seed is not outside of it; it's inside of it. Right. So if you plant the seed doesn't come from anywhere else but inside. Yeah. Right. So and always you'll find that the battlefield will always be intensifying where your seed of success has been planted. So our greatest weakness is being overly passionate about the things of God, and we're to a point that where we needs be, we will definitely offer our support where we can. It's one of our greatest weaknesses that we allow God to operate.
If podcast are a part of the church act.
So we are definitely expecting gospel chats with now at the Creative Conference.
You can come through and set up.
I can't take the credit, man. There's a man behind there from Artistic Media. So yeah, he calls me at 11 in the evening. He do sort 1, 2, 3 out. I'm trying to sleep here. So
You've got your own Aaron and Hood, making sure that your hands don't go down when you're tired.
yeah, a big shout out to him. Thank
Shout
you, man.
out,
Thanks,
Aaron.
thank you.
I think as a really a chapel, I think get a chapel like a chapel.
Muruti.
No, my mentee is over here. My armor bearer.
Guys, we're gonna close with prayer, but don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. It's Gospel Chats with Neo on YouTube, and then they are I Listen Media. Whatever you wanna do when it comes to filming, contact them. Do you guys have a page of I Listen?
Yeah.
It's I Listen Media.
I Listen Media.
Okay, please check it out. They do nice things.
We'll be doing quite a lot of moves. So there will be I Listen Live, which is where all the live recording stuff are going to migrate to. Then we do corporate, which will be I Listen Media. And then the Creative Conference has its own social media pages as well.
Okay, you heard it, guys. From Namurama Tlaupa Mukaloba until we meet again. Thank you. Raya Muruti.
That's all the matter crew. Heavenly Father, we come before you today as your children. We want to say that thank you. We want to lift your name up high. We are reliant on you through all our actions because you are a mighty God. Heavenly Father, I pray for this podcast that may you able it only how you know how to able it, so that it reaches your people in ways that you want it to reach your people. Heavenly Father, we come every day to you thirsty as we always are for your ways. Make a new heart in each and every one of us, and everyone who's listening here. May the conversation we just had, may it arrive into those hearts and provoke and evoke change. In the name of Jesus Christ.
Amen and amen. Amen. You must get saved.